So part 2 of the boring old Mark 8 Transit into a lovely motorhome. So the plan was we wanted to strip all the walls, so we've basically just got a blank canvas to work with. So we managed to get all the plywood off of the walls, only to discover that underneath someone had sprayed it full of the expanding foam, which, as you can see, was everywhere. Because it was stuck to the plywood as well, so that was a pain to get off, but eventually it all came off. But like I say, it was just such a pain, it really was. That came off. See, I was looking pretty smug there. That all came off, and it just left us with all this expanding foam, and you think it's just going to be a case of just grabbing it and pulling it off, but actually we ended up ruining one knife trying to get it, as you can see there, look, that was broken. And then I had to get a bread knife and basically just chop it away and carve away in lumps just to try and get it all off, and because ultimately then we've got to stick some sound deadening tiles to each of the panels, so we need a surface that we can stick those on. So yeah, Teresa and I were just just frantically trying to get off as much as we can. Not something we want to do again, but anyway, it did all come off. So anyway, that was it. That took a fair time to get all the plywood off and then hack away at all the expanding foam. But yeah, it came off, it made a mess, and of course there was a wind blowing, so every time we opened the doors the foam was going halfway down the street. I'm sure the neighbours were looking at us thinking what a couple of scroats making all that mess, but we did try and pick up everything. That was that. Then the next job, once we got all of that off, was to tackle the floor. And again, the floor, that had all been, the screws that were holding it in were all rusted. So firstly you had to find where they were. Look at my legs, look like one of the kebabs that you slice off in a kebab shop, don't they? Anyway, back to the floor. Yeah, so the floor, the screw holes were just like everywhere. There was no real rhyme or reason as to where the floor was actually screwed in, and because they'd obviously got damp at some point, then all the screws were rusted, so you couldn't get a screwdriver on them or an impact drill, which was just a pain. So I ended up getting the grinder out, the cordless grinder, trying to grind them off. But yeah, they eventually came off. Ruined a bit of the floor obviously, but the plan is, I mean, I think that's 18mm ply on there. I'm going to probably end up putting 12mm ply, so I'll go in sort of 6mm, and as we know, size is everything. So yeah, 6mm is 6mm on the headroom. So but that was it. Yeah, we got the I shall make smaller wheel arch covers anyway, because that's going to be the garage part where all the electric's going to be. So another good day. That's part 2 over and done with. Make sure you join us for part 3, because we are going to start doing the floor next. We're going to batten it. Thanks for watching.